Welcome back everyone to Formula One. We had a great sprint yesterday, but now it's time for the full-fledged race in Italy for the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix here in Imola. It's 23 degrees here out in Imola, but it is supposed to rain at the end of the race, so we may see some interesting strategies. Let's have a look at the track. It's a 4.9 kilometer circuit with 19 turns, 9 to the right and 10 to the left. You've got some elevation changes from 7 through 9, and then the big dip from turn 12, and then the rise up through turn 13. So I'm gonna hand it over to Jack Marshall for the grid.
Thank you, Sam. We had a thrilling sprint race yesterday with Max Verstappen and George Russell having epic battle across the entire sprint. Max Verstappen taking pole for this race, George Russell coming second, but it does show great potential for him. And Charles Leclerc coming in third with his teammate Carlos Sainz, third and fourth, with Hamilton in fifth and Perez in sixth. Best of the rest, we got Norris with his teammate Ricciardo and Ocon and Gasly, P9 and P10. P11, Magnussen with Bottas behind him, Mick Schumacher and then Kevin King, Tsunoda and then Zhou behind them, and the two Aston Martins, Vettel and Stroll, P17 and 18, rounding off the grid, Alonso and Albon, who had some trouble with their front wings in the sprint race.
Yeah, I think we're going to head down to the grid now just to have a look at the track. But I think we should talk about Ferrari. They've had issues in the last 3 races. That's not a good look for them. They've got the pace, but it doesn't seem they have the reliability.
That is so true. Ferrari have been absolute beasts in qualifying. P3 and P4 this time, which has been great since last season. But they just not got the performance.
Yeah, and obviously we can see that Max Verstappen only 3 points behind Sergio Perez in the championship. You know, most people would have expected Verstappen to already be pulling ahead of his teammate, but you know, Perez is putting up a good fight, and I think that's quite good, showing that the Red Bull teammates are, you know, good fighting each other as well. Yeah,
that is great, and it's a great projection for the season to come. I think Perez is just doing great. Here we go, the formation lap.
Yeah, we're seeing that Red Bull of Max Verstappen pulling away, followed by George Russell and then Leclerc and Sainz. We're seeing everyone starting on softs apart from Hamilton, Gasly and King on the mediums and Albon on the hards. Interesting tyre choice there.
Yeah, there's some interesting strategies. There are rumours and kind of like predictions that there's going to be some rain later in the race. Maybe they're trying to go all the way and wait and try and roll the dice for that occurrence.
Yeah, but I'm guessing some of those soft runners will want to try and, you know, just manage their tyres, or you know, maybe they're expecting that the rain will show up, you know, too late in the race where the tyres won't really be a problem, where it gets a little bit slippy, but you know, not to the point where they're all sliding all over the place.
We will just have to wait and see. Here we see them lining up on the grid for the race.
All right, and we just see the last couple of cars lining up on the grid, and I believe we're going to go to the 5 red lights in just a few moments. Here we are. It's the 5 red lights for the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. It's lights out and away we go. Max Verstappen gets a good start, already coming over to cover off George Russell, and Charles Leclerc already up against George Russell, and who's already got ahead of George Russell, and now Sainz is going up against him as we see Lewis Hamilton getting ahead of Sergio Perez there, and Esteban Ocon getting ahead of Kevin Magnussen, actually them having quite a good scrap there.
That is absolutely amazing. 3 wide into the first corner. Here we see George Russell pulling ahead of Charles Leclerc, but Carlos Sainz managed to jump both his teammate and George Russell.
What an incredible start from Carlos Sainz. He's jumped 3 positions. Oh, well, 2 positions. But yeah, he's up into P2 now. And Charles Leclerc dropped to 4th, and George Russell dropped to 3rd. Not a great look for them.
That is absolutely great for Max Verstappen, though. He's pulled a full second head out of that DRS range.
Yeah, already, even in the first lap, and just like, just a few corners, he's already pulled ahead of that 2nd place. And I think he's just going to try and you know, keep pulling ahead and just maintain that gap just so no one can really catch him.
Yes, and we also have to talk about Kevin Magnussen, who jumped Ocon at the start, and Kevin King, who's jumped all the way up to 11th.
Yeah, what a great start from Kevin King. He's really showing pace in that Williams, actually, you know, beating his teammate Alex Albon, starting right at the back.
Yes, actually Magnussen jumped from 14th. That was great for Magnussen.
What a great start by Magnussen. I didn't even realise that. But yeah, incredible start for Magnussen. As we start lap 2, Max Verstappen has already pulled another 2 tenths on Carlos Sainz since we first talked about it.
Yeah, that's great. And here we see George Russell looking behind Carlos Sainz. He's not really going to make a move just yet, but I think in the back of his mind he's thinking, I need to make a move soon.
Yeah, I think he's thinking, where can I put enough pressure on Sainz to force him into a mistake, and where can I get him to just lock up just a little bit, or just go a little bit too deep, just so I can slit right down the inside.
Yes, he must also be thinking about Charles Leclerc. Carlos Sainz's teammate behind him is also looking to try and sneak back that third place position he held at the start of the race. I mean, it's a really interesting predicament for Ferrari.
Yeah, I mean, you know, their golden boy Charles Leclerc, who's been in that Ferrari seat since 2019. He's been showing good pace. Already got a few wins under his belt. But yeah, but they do have Sainz ahead. So who do they prioritize in this situation?
Yeah, they could either push Sainz ahead and allow George Russell to catch up to him, but that would kind of ruin Charles Leclerc's race because he wouldn't be able to get past George Russell, or they could use Carlos Sainz to back up George Russell and help Charles Leclerc.
Yeah, and obviously you remember both of these Ferraris have to finish well in this race. This is not necessarily their home race, not Monza, but this is still a home race for Ferrari, so they have to perform here.
It'll be a very important race for them. Here we see George Russell following behind Carlos Sainz. It's not DRS yet, but it will be next lap. Now DRS has been enabled, though we'll have to wait for the one DRS straight back at the pit lane straight.
Yeah, right at the end of the lap. We're seeing George Russell just maintaining that gap to Carlos Sainz, but actually Max Verstappen pulled another 2/10 on Carlos Sainz. He's just he's only 3 laps. He's pulled a second and a half. He's just really in a league of his own this race.
Yeah, this is a great performance from Max Verstappen. We saw it in the sprint race. Him keeping his cool, staying behind George Russell and overtaking him in lap 3. That was great from him. And here we see another 2/10. This is great for Max Verstappen. I think Carlos Sainz may be pulling back to hold George Russell in place to keep Charles Leclerc in the fight, to keep Charles Leclerc right behind George Russell so Charles Leclerc can get those overtakes.
Yeah, and I think we should just start paying attention to Leclerc and Russell's gap to each other, just to see if they're catching up to each other, because actually we're seeing Charles Leclerc, I think, is catching up to George Russell more than Russell's catching up to Sainz. So I think Sainz might actually be backing Russell into Leclerc to try and get that move past so Ferrari can get that double podium.
Yes, and here we see the DRS active. This is where it begins. Will George Russell be able to pull ahead of Carlos Sainz, or will Leclerc prevent him? Oh, and here we go. George Russell going on the outside of Carlos Sainz, but Carlos Sainz pulls ahead. George Russell goes on the inside and managed to stick ahead of Carlos Sainz. That's great. Here we have Charles Leclerc maybe looking to beat his teammate here. Get this opportunity to take P3, but no, he does not try it.
What a great move by George Russell down the inside and then round the outside of round Tamburello. That was incredible move by George Russell. And we're seeing Leclerc right up the gearbox of his teammate Carlos Sainz, and Max Verstappen, through all that squabbling, has pulled another second and a half on them.
That is great. We also have to notice Lewis Hamilton and Sergio Perez are now back in this fight. Lewis Hamilton was 6/10 behind, now only 3/10 behind.
Yeah, what an incredible catch up from Hamilton there. He's right in this fight. This is really all just a fight for P2 and 3. Just a 5-car fight for 2 spots. I think there's going to be an incredible battle that we're going to want to see unfold here.
Yes, here we are watching Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc right behind him. It'll be the big question about whether Charles Leclerc will try and pass him or try and stay behind and conserve those soft tyres.
I'm thinking Sainz is going to try and pull Leclerc along to try and catch up to George Russell so they can both get past him. I think that's Ferrari's best bet of a podium here today.
Yes, Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc, Lewis Hamilton, Perez all getting DRS in this long DRS train, but they're not able to make a move on George Russell. They're still too far behind. George Russell pulling a bit too far ahead for them.
Yeah, and George Russell, I think, has actually started to chip into that gap of Max Verstappen. Well, it went down to 2.9 for a second, but it's gone back up to 3 seconds now. But yeah, I think this is turning into a really exciting race, I think.
Yes, this is going many ways between 3 different teams all fighting for those key positions in this championship.
Yes, and I think it's very good for Perez. Really important for Perez to try and get as high up as he can to maintain that lead he has in the championship. But I think Max Verstappen's gonna take over unless something goes horribly wrong. He blows an engine or something like that. But yeah, and also I want to talk about Daniel Ricciardo, who's been really kind of behind Lando Norris in the past season and a bit. You know, in 2021 he did get that win in Monza. But yeah, for the most part, he's been behind Lando, and to be right behind him now and be less than a second behind him, I think that's probably very good for his confidence, I think.
Yes, that's very good, and he'll be piggybacking off his teammate, trying to hold himself in 8th position to get those crucial points for McLaren. As we know, for the midfield, those points are absolutely crucial.
Yeah, as we've seen, I believe all but 3 teams have scored points this season, and it's only been, what, 3-4 races or something
And
like
so
that.
many people. Here we see Carlos Sainz trying. He's only 600ths behind. He tries to go on the outside, but he just can't make it. He just can't get past George Russell. That's the pace of George Russell in his Mercedes.
Yeah, he tried to pull the old switcheroo on George Russell, tried to pull the same trick that George pulled on him, but I think George Russell's a bit too smart for that.
Yes, I mean, George Russell has been performing amazingly in Imola. The Mercedes has not been the best car as it has been in previous years, but he's been getting everything out of it that he possibly can.
Yeah, and Lewis Hamilton, I think, starting to chip away at that gap he's got on Leclerc, who's actually even closer to his teammate Carlos Sainz now than he was before. He's now less than 2 tenths, right up, pushing him along, trying to push him into Russell, I'm guessing.
Yeah, so but if I was Charles Leclerc, I'll be getting over the radio, trying to get past his teammate so he can try on George Russell and see if he can get past into that second place.
Just try and see, like, hey, if Carlos can't go any faster, I think I need to get past. I've got more pace, because I think Leclerc does have more pace. He's really sticking with Sainz and kind of pushing him through these corners. As we go on to the next lap and go on board with Carlos Sainz. Going on to the next lap, we're seeing he does get that DRS, and George Russell gone into the pits.
George Russell, Max Verstappen, and Charles Leclerc all going into the pits. Carlos Sainz, Lewis Hamilton, Perez staying out. That's an interesting call from all 3 of the teams.
Yeah, potentially. They all started on softs, didn't they? So maybe this is where the the soft tires are going to start to pit now.
Yeah, and this will be Lewis Hamilton's moment. He started on the medium tyres, and it is up to him to keep those medium tyres in it, to stay out, to try and go for the overcut.
Yeah, and yeah, we're just seeing Carlos Sainz just maintaining the lead of this race. And Lewis Hamilton 6 tenths behind him. I think this is going to be an exciting race.
This will be a thrilling race. We'll have to wait till that next DRS zone to see how Lewis Hamilton can catch up to Carlos Sainz, how he can kind of get himself around and get him past.
Yeah, and if that rain comes when it does, all those soft tire runners I think might be a little bit screwed, because if they all have to pit and then Hamilton can stay out, he'll have a healthy lead when the rain comes. And now we're seeing that's contact between Mick Schumacher and Pierre Gasly, and Schumacher has lost his front wing. He's gonna have to go pit for that. That's really bad accident. Let's have a look at the onboards between Mick Schumacher. He's just locked up the front left and just gone straight into Gasly.
Yes,
that's unfortunate.
I mean, that has been a mix-up. I feel like Gasly should have given him more room. He knew Mick Schumacher was coming back, but it's really up to the FIA to decide how to rule on that kind of incident. Yeah,
I mean, I think Gasly is probably. I mean, I think he wasn't completely not at fault there, but Schumacher was completely off the track. So once you're completely off the track, it is your responsibility to try and get yourself back on the track in a safe manner. So I don't think that was Pierre Gasly's fault.
Yeah, Mick Schumacher under investigation for that. Here we see Pierre Gasly in 3rd, Lewis Hamilton and Kevin King. Those are all the medium runners. Everyone else has pitted.
I just want to say, Kevin King, Williams, 2nd place. Incredible.
Even though he hasn't pitted yet, I mean...
yeah, I mean...
It is pretty good to see a William in 2nd, just like Spa last year, even with no race happening with George Russell.
Yeah, when we had that kind of race that wasn't a race. But yeah, no, I mean, that qualifying was a different question, because, George Russell, even though he put that Williams in P2, incredible stuff.
Incredible indeed. I'd also like to point out Sergio Perez and Carlos Sainz both stayed out while their teammates went into the pits. They're now 2 seconds behind George Russell and Charles Leclerc, who did pit together in the first kind of round of pitting. Yeah, I think the undercut really worked. Maybe Perez and Carlos Sainz should have stayed out.
Yeah, potentially. You see, because Sainz was not far behind Russell, and actually we're seeing Charles Leclerc putting in the fastest lap and actually getting ahead of George Russell there for P5 there. But let's see if Max Verstappen, once the others pit, see if he can retake his lead. Yes, well, I mean, the big question, Lewis Hamilton, Kevin King, Pierre Gasly will be betting on is whether it's going to be raining soon. Yeah, I think that's why they've gone onto the medium tyres. Maybe some of the soft tyre runners wanting to stay back or try and manage their tyres so they can have you know, the faster tyres for longer, but these medium runners can just push all the way till the rain comes, I think. And even if it doesn't come in time, they've always got, you know, softs to pit for.
Yeah, and I mean, those clouds are looking exceedingly grey. I mean, it'll be close to where the rain is coming.
Yeah, the rain will be coming down shortly, I think. We've been following Pierre Gasly for a while now. I think he's been doing pretty well. Oh, and there's a yellow flag in Sector 2. Yuki Tsunoda, Pierre Gasly's teammate, and I believe he's going slowly. Might have an engine failure.
Oh, and he's pulling to the side of the track. That is very interesting. I wonder the issue.
That's comprehensive.
That is very comprehensive from Yuki Tsunoda.
Yeah,
Here we are going to Kevin King. We're watching the restart where Kevin King jumped many places.
yeah, he hasn't pitted yet, so I think this will be a provisional, somewhere around P10 to 12, maybe P11, somewhere around there.
Yes, it depends how well he's been managing those medium tires and how well he's been doing. Here we see him. He goes outside.
That's a gutsy move. What a move by Kevin King. Around the outside of, I don't even know how many cars, but...
That is an aggressive braking zone. Oh, and here he goes. She's trying down the inside of the AlphaTauri. Does he... around the outside. That is...
This is incredible stuff from Kevin King. What is this,
amazing driving. Overtake after overtake after overtake. That is amazing from the Williams rookie.
Oh, you know how we've got overtake of the month? I think that turn 1 overtake is probably going to be on that list.
Oh,
that was incredible stuff. Oh, and there's a bit of track limits there.
A bit of track limits there, but...
A little bit too overeager, but no, still incredible stuff from Kevin King. You know, only on his rookie season, so that's incredible, I think.
That is some great driving, but risky, but still great driving. Here we go to George Russell following Charles Leclerc. It is now a green flag, and George Russell will get DRS on Charles Leclerc.
And apparently some of the medium runners, I think, have pitted. Lewis Hamilton's pitted. Max Verstappen's got back into the lead, and I think that's Carlos Sainz in P9. What's happened to him? Has he got some sort of front wing damage or something? What happened?
I mean, that... I must question, he's going down, and he's going down. Maybe some, like, engine issue.
Oh, I think we're going to see it here. He's coming up the back of, I believe that's Max Verstappen or Sergio Perez.
I believe it's Perez.
Yeah, we're going to go around the out. He's going to try and go around the outside. Yeah, I think, just a little tap. The end plates come off.
Yeah, you can see the end plate fly off there on the left of your screen.
Yeah,
and that will be losing him a lot of time, and he'll have to pit, which I don't think gets him back into the points unless there was some crazy rain strategy.
Yeah, unless they can chuck some softs on and just like blast through the pack until the rain comes. But it seems we're only a few laps from the end, and it seems the rain doesn't seem to be coming. So.
Yeah, I mean, Lewis Hamilton, who's just pitted, is right behind Sergio Perez. I think that strategy for Lewis Hamilton did work out for him, but it'll just be a question whether he can push those tires to get past Sergio Perez.
Yeah, and he is within that 1 second, so he will get the DRS. But I believe now, we're watching George Russell on the tail of Charles Leclerc. He's got DRS on Leclerc, and I think he's going to try and catch up to him. Will he have the space to and the distance to come and catch up to him? I don't think he will. No. As they go into turn 1, George Russell's just a bit too far behind.
Yeah, I feel like just like George Russell did to Charles Leclerc's teammate Carlos Sainz, Charles Leclerc's going to be really focused on just keeping that drive behind him. Max Verstappen is already down the road. I feel like damage limitation, they just want to get the points, Ferrari does.
Yep, and I think they want to get the podium.
Certainly.
Imola.
They definitely want to get that podium. They don't want to risk it, and they just want to keep George Russell looking at Charles Leclerc's gearbox.
Yeah, and this is the provisional championship standing. So as it stands, once Max Verstappen wins, he will be leading the championship from Perez from 6 points, I believe. From 3 points, I can't read.
Yes, and that is great for Verstappen, retaking that championship lead. They'll do great boost for his enthusiasm and for his drive to really take the best out of his car.
Yeah, and I do think Perez, even though he's not going to be leading the championship anymore, I do think that's still good news for him to still be P2 and still be that close to him.
Yes, and here we have George Russell once again getting DRS on Charles Leclerc. Will he get enough speed? Does he have enough of a battery to catch up to that Ferrari that's flying through the straight? and he doesn't have enough. He just can't get close enough to make that move.
Yeah, I think that Ferrari's just far too slippery.
Yeah.
You know, they've probably put a lot of... I mean, obviously they'll put in lots and lots of effort every single weekend, and I'm sure Mercedes does as well. All these teams work so incredibly hard, but Leclerc just, you know, he wants to get that podium for the Tifosi, for the fans at home here.
Yeah, I mean, that is some great defending by Charles Leclerc. He is just trying to keep ahead. He's trying to... I wonder if, like, strategically he's trying to save his battery, because there was only one DRS straight in Imola. Yeah,
and we can see on his wheel there, he's still got about somewhere around 50% of his battery. So yeah, I think he is trying to save his battery for when Russell tries to attack him.
It'll come down to the wire here at Imola. We have Max Verstappen leading the race, then Charles Leclerc, and right behind him, George Russell. It's a great, thrilling battle for P2.
And no investigation necessary between Mick Schumacher and Pierre Gasly, that collision. I think that's probably a racing incident, just a bit of a lock-up, and you know, just trying to get back on the track. Just a simple incident, didn't really hinder Gasly's race at all.
Yeah, I think that's just an FIA not wanting to make waves, because it was a really, really close call about whether whose fault it was, whether how many penalties you should give there.
Yeah, I think it's all right. So yeah, I think that was the right call from the FIA, and yeah, Russell's still unable to catch up to Charles Leclerc.
Yes, it'll be a tyre management game now. It'll be George Russell trying to save his medium tyres. Just trying to push it on maybe on the final lap. That is going to be really close.
Yeah, and I don't know if the rain's going to come down yet, because we're only 3 laps from the end now. So
yes, it seems like the rain has held off for another day here in the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. Let's look at the midfield, because Kevin Magnussen finished the sprint race in P14. He is now in P7.
Yeah, and I think commentator's curse has struck again, because, yeah, I was talking about Daniel Ricciardo being real close to Lando Norris, and now he's about 12 seconds behind him, so...
Yes, that is not great for Daniel Ricciardo. Yeah, it's great for McLaren, though. P6, P8, that is...
Yeah, double points for McLaren. That's always going to be good for the championship with their fight with Alpine. They're going to gain a haul of points in them. Alpine only gaining 2 points, and McLaren gaining, 8 and 4.
That, yeah,
I can't do maths.
Quite right. And here George Russell has dropped out of DRS range, so he did not have DRS down that straight.
Yeah, I think
that's Charles Leclerc pushing on those tyres, pushing to get out. And so George Russell no longer has DRS.
Could be potentially pushing, but it could be that Mercedes tyres are going. You know, it seems to be that, and Lewis Hamilton dropping behind Sergio Perez. So I think it could just be that Mercedes is not so good on their tyres. Maybe their tyre management just going out the window now.
Yeah, now George Russell's probably have to think of Sergio Perez behind him, and we have an incident in Sector 1. Zhou Guanyu going off.
Yeah, that's I wonder what's happened. He's locked up potentially, but now we've got the green flag again, and I think we might see a replay of that one. Yeah, here we go. So he's coming up behind
the Aston Martin. I think that's Lance Stroll.
Yeah. And just to lock up. Yeah, because we can see the rain starting to come down.
Oh yeah, we can see that moisture on the track, and it's probably messed up his braking zone a bit, and he just gone straight on.
Yeah, he just got off the racing line, so probably just got a little bit slippery. And here we see Esteban Ocon going up against Daniel Ricciardo, who's lost even more time. Maybe his tyres are going off as well. But this is Esteban Ocon trying to get right up the back of Ricciardo. As we go on to the final lap of the race, Ocon is going to get DRS on Ricciardo, and I think he's going to try and get past him. Yeah, he's already going around the outside of Ricciardo, actually, and then down the inside before they even get to what I keep calling turn 1, but is actually turn 2. Ocon ahead of Ricciardo and up into P8.
That is some great speed by Esteban Ocon. I bet he was planning that for many, many laps, saving up that battery so he can just zoom past him.
Yeah, and now me saying that when they only had one Alpine in the points, Alonso up in P10 now. So, even though it's... McLaren still has the advantage now, but...
that is great for the
Alpine and still getting double points now.
That is great for the Alpine-McLaren battle. But here we see the winner, Max Verstappen, coming around the final corners, going onto the main straight. Max Verstappen wins the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. This is amazing race for him.
And what a gap he had to second place as well. Seems like we're watching for eternity as here comes round Charles Leclerc to finish in second place, and George Russell in P3 to complete the podium. What a great race. Max Verstappen controlled it the entire way, 5.8 seconds.
Oh, yes, guys. Unbelievable.
Yeah, great race from
That is just amazing for Max Verstappen. Not great, however, for Carlos Sainz, who's currently in P18. He's working his way around the track. I don't think he'll be able to take anyone, but he is 0.7 behind Mick Schumacher. Maybe he can make up some of those places.
Yeah, I think he's going to try.
You think he's going to try?
And it's driver of the day, Fernando Alonso, starting in P19 and finishing in the points. I think that's incredible for Fernando Alonso.
That is incredible. This is a great day for Red Bull. Another victory, pulling them even further ahead of all the other constructors. They're currently way ahead of Ferrari, but every point counts in a constructors championship like this.
Yeah, and George Russell third in the championship. I think this is good for him as well. Almost catching up to Perez as well. But yeah, I think this is very good for Red Bull and for Mercedes and for Ferrari as well, getting that second place. I think this is very good for all the top teams here.
Yep, and here we go to the podium celebration. Max Verstappen winner, then George Russell, and then then Charles Leclerc, then George Russell. Sorry.
Yes.
Here we see them.
Yeah, what an incredible race from Max Verstappen. Controlled it start to finish.
Incredible race. I mean, it looked hairy in the sprint, but when it came to race day, Max Verstappen has that incredible race pace and the incredible Red Bull.
Yeah, he's always incredible on Sundays. You've always seen him. He's never really disappointed. Even if he's been in an incident, it's never really been his fault. Most of the time, at least.
Most of the time.
Most of the time.
Here we see the classifications. Max Verstappen wins the race, getting 25 crucial points. Then Charles Leclerc, George Russell, Sergio Perez, Hamilton, Norris, Magnussen, Ocon, Ricciardo, and then Alonso.
And Charles Leclerc grabbing the fastest lap of the race as well, getting that one extra crucial point in the championship.
Extra crucial point. I mean, Ferrari were only 7 points ahead, but Now they pull that lead a bit further with George Russell and Lewis Hamilton's performance. Here we see the Drivers' Championship standings. Max Verstappen pulling 10 points ahead of Sergio Perez. Those are great points for him to have. George Russell staying in third with Charles Leclerc beating his teammate of Carlos Sainz, getting that fourth position in the standings. Then Hamilton, Norris, Ocon. And here we see the Constructors' Championship, Red Bull pulling ahead far and wide. Ferrari and Mercedes only 1 point difference. That is going to be a thrilling rest of the season to find out who can pull ahead. McLaren, Alpine, Alfa Romeo and Haas both on 9 points, with AlphaTauri, Williams and Aston Martin all yet to score a point this season.
Yeah, I think even Williams, even though they were pretty close to scoring points, I think it was just a bit too far for them. So, but if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe and press that red button. But we will see you next time.